Chapter 2. When I was just a young wolf, one of my favorite places to go was Toys R Us. I was between the ages of about 8 years old to 12 years old, and even beyond that, I would go there and look for model kits, action figures like G.I. Joe, and of course, that's where I discovered Wargames. That brings us to the central question about what makes the Eastern Front such a compelling subject. For now, as far as a discussion about the war, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to launch into an explanation of four games, while I assume that you're already familiar with the subject or you soon will be. Later on, you and I will discuss aspects of World War II. Avalon Hill's Stalingrad, published in 1963, was one of the early strategic treatments of the entire German-Soviet campaign. Despite its title, the campaign was not confined to the battle for the city. It presented the broader war in the East through a map divided into hexagons and military units represented by cardboard counters. For many players, Stalingrad became an introduction to a new kind of board game. This was not simply a race around a board, but the player had to consider terrain, supply, movement, combat strength, and the changing seasons. The German side possessed speed and striking power, particularly early in the campaign. The Soviet side had to survive, trade space for time, rebuild its forces, and eventually turn defense into counteroffensive. Its components were modest by modern standards, but its subject was immense. Game 2. The Russian Campaign. The Russian campaign first appeared with Compass Games in 1974. Avalon Hill published its own edition in 1977. It became one of the best-known strategic games on the Eastern Front. The game captures the dramatic rhythm of the historical campaign, rapid German advances during favorable weather, German withdrawals, and counterattacks, winter offensives, armored breakthroughs, encirclements, and the growing strength of the Red Army. It remains easy enough to play, yet deep enough to reward repeated study. Every game develops differently. Can the German player seize Moscow? Can the Soviet player preserve enough strength to survive the opening assault? Can an exposed army be surrounded before it escapes? These questions give the game lasting appeal. History establishes the setting, but the decisions made across the tabletop create a new narrative each time it's played. That brings us to Game 3. In 1985, Avalon Hill returned to the subject with Russian Front. The game offers a more visually developed map and a different treatment of combat, air power, supply, and weather. Its title is direct and unmistakable. This is the war in the East, from the shock of Barbarossa through the long Soviet advance through Germany. The seasonal cycle remains central to the experience. Summer encourages movement and offensive action. Mud can slow armies almost to a standstill. Winter transforms the strategic situation and punishes forces that have advanced too far without adequate preparation. The weather is not decoration. It's part of the game's machinery, and that reflects an essential truth of the historical campaign. Commanders make plans, then execute the principles of war, but fate has its own say. Last thing I'm going to talk about today is the fourth game. That's the Russian Campaign. deluxe 5th edition designed by John Edwards. I'm not going to go into it in depth today. We're not going to open the box up. We're going to do that on another video, and it's going to be fun. In any event, don't forget my book. It's on Amazon.com. And thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate your time. For all you wargamers out there, especially wargamers about the Russian front. Have a great day. Bye-bye.